Welcome to the OpenDental webinar on the supply inventory feature. Today we will go over the equipment feature for tracking equipment to pay property taxes, the supplies list for tracking inventory, and the orders feature to track pending, outstanding, and received orders. We can find our supply inventory feature by going to the Manage module and then clicking on the Supply Inventory button. The equipment feature can be accessed by clicking the equipment button and is used for tracking equipment for the payment of property taxes. To create a new item, you can click the Add button on the bottom left of the screen and enter information about your item. The date of entry will be automatically generated and cannot be edited. We can enter a description. A serial number will be automatically generated by OpenDental, but it can be cleared or edited as needed, keeping in mind that a serial number cannot be duplicated. It is recommended that you physically label the equipment with the serial number for improved tracking. We can also indicate a model year, the date of purchase, which will default to today but can be edited, as well as the date sold, the purchase cost, the estimated market value, the location, and any notes about the status of the item. We can hit Save to create our equipment item. To permanently remove an item from the equipment list, you can double-click on the item and then click Delete in the bottom left corner. Back in the Supply Inventory window, we have the Supplies Needed list. The Supplies Needed list is a free-form list where any staff can quickly indicate an item that is running low. This list is independent of the main supply list, and items on the Supplies Needed list cannot be directly added to an order. Let's say that we need tissues. This list will then be reviewed by the person responsible for ordering supplies, and when an item has been added to an order, it should be removed from the Supplies Needed list. We can remove the item by double-clicking and then clicking Delete. Next, we will talk about using the supplies list to manage inventory and track orders. Supplies must be entered into the supplies list before they can be added to a supply order. Further, suppliers and supply categories must be set up in advance of creating a supply item or an order. From the supply inventory list, you can click on Suppliers and then click Add to add an additional supplier. We can indicate the name, the phone number, the customer ID if we have one, the website, the username, the password, and any notes regarding this item. We can hit Save to save our new supplier. If the supplier has never been attached to an existing supply order, they can be deleted by double-clicking into the supplier and clicking Delete. Suppliers that have been used on historic orders cannot be deleted and will remain in the list. Back in the Supply Inventory window, we can click Categories to create a new supply category. These are the options that we can use to group supplies. For example, you could group supplies in terms of office supplies, clinical supplies, break room supplies, and let's add waiting room supplies. We will see soon that once we have categories, we will be able to filter our list of supplies based on the category. Once suppliers and categories have been set up, you can add supplies. Click on the Supplies button to open a list of all existing supplies, and double-click into an item to edit it. Or we can select a supplier, and then click Add Supply to add a new item. In the supply window, the supplier is locked and cannot be changed. However, you can indicate the category, the catalog item number, and a description. We do recommend including the units in the description. So for our gloves, they come in a case of 10 boxes, and there are 90 gloves per box. Further, you can input the stock level, which is the maximum number of items to keep on hand. This can be a decimal and should match how the items are ordered. For example, if a unit of gloves is a case of 10 boxes, then this might be 1.5 to indicate a reorder is needed whenever there are less than 15 boxes of gloves. The on-hand quantity indicates the number of units currently in stock. In our example using gloves, if we have 10 boxes in stock, we would indicate an on-hand quantity of 1 to indicate there is 1 unit of 10 boxes. And the order quantity will be the number of units needed on the next order. We want to be able to increase our on-hand value to be at a minimum the stock level. The order quantity must be a whole number. In this case, we will need to order 1 additional case of gloves on our next supply order. Finally, you can enter the cost of the item on the vendor website. A supply item that has never been added to an order can be deleted by double-clicking into the item and then clicking the Delete button on the bottom left corner. If the item has been on an order in the past, you can instead mark the supply item as hidden so it no longer appears in the supply list. Supply items can be reordered as long as all suppliers and all categories are visible. You can then select 1 or more items and use the up or down buttons to move them around in the list. Here in the supplies list, you can also optionally select a supplier as well as a category, and then click Print at the bottom of our window to print a list of the currently displayed supplies. This filtered list is commonly used to take inventory. Now that we have supplies created, we can create an order. There are 3 ways to create an order. One way is by clicking the Orders button from the Supply Inventory window, then select the supplier, and then click New Order to create a new pending order for that supplier. We can then click Add Supply to add items to our list. Items added in this manner will always default to a quantity of 1, and we'll use the price from the main supply list. The quantity and the price can be edited as needed by adjusting the value here in the quantity and price per unit column. Changes made to prices on an order do not affect the prices in the main supply list. Another way to create new orders is by clicking into Supplies from the Supply Inventory window and then selecting each needed supply. You can hold down the Control button to select multiple supplies. Once all of our items are selected, we will click the Selected button at the bottom of our window, and this will create a separate order for each of our suppliers. Back in our orders list, we can see our newly created orders. If the item's order quantity was entered in the supplies list, that order quantity will be used. If there is no quantity entered from the supplies list, it will default to a quantity of 0. The saved order quantity will not be zeroed out in the supplies list when using the Selected button. Alternately, the third way we can create an order is from our supplies list using the Order column. We had already entered the number of units needed on our next order. We can then use the With Quantity button to create a separate order for each of our suppliers that has a quantity entered in the Order column. The saved order quantity will be zeroed out when clicking the With Quantity button. Once orders are created, you will use them as reference for placing orders on vendor websites. Double-click into the pending order to fill in the date placed with today's date and the placed by with the currently logged in user. These fields can be edited or returned to none and blank to indicate that the order is still pending. The total amount will automatically calculate based on the quantity and price per unit indicated in our supplies on one order list, and you can indicate a shipping charge if needed. Finally, we can enter any additional details we need in the Notes section. Here we will indicate the estimated time of arrival. Our ETA is the 27th. As a double check, you can confirm the amount in OpenDental with the amount on the vendor's website. And now we wait for our orders to arrive. When an item is received, you can go into the Supply Orders window and select the order that has arrived. Double-click into the item that has arrived and indicate the date received. You can click Today to quickly fill in today's date. We can receive items individually within the order. If the entire order has arrived, we can double-click into the order itself and then enter in the date received, again clicking on Today to autofill today's date. If one or more of our individual items are not marked as received, you'll be prompted to mark them as received using the date entered on the order. You can click Yes to fill in that date received. Once orders are marked as received, they will no longer appear in the order history grid, and you can click Show Received to view historic orders. That concludes our OpenDental webinar on the supply inventory feature.
Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. If you have additional questions, please call our support line at 503-363-5432 or access our complete online manual at opendental.com. And to make sure you're staying up to date on our latest training videos, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications.